good.
And the only one I don't see as of right now is Miss Julie.
She's there. I see
Julie's
her name.
here.
I'm
She
here.
does not have her video on.
Oh, okay. All right. So all present.
And need to be start recording. Whoever is recording.
It's
It's
recording.
recording.
Good. It
It's
is.
now
Good.
recording.
All right.
Yeah.
It is recording.
Okay, great.
Yeah. For those that might not know, we're on this Zoom meeting as the world gets to be a better place, but it's not there yet. Robin's going to go over the Zoom procedures just to kind of cover what we do here on this kind of platform. Robin, can you just give him a brief?
Well, when we're going to be taking comments, or you have something to speak, if you're muted, Alt-Y, I'm sorry, let me back this up. If you want to speak, you can use the raise hand feature. If you are not, if you're going to be doing this with your keyboard, you can also do Alt-Y when you have a PC, or Option Y. If you're phoning in using your keypad on your phone, that's *9 to raise and lower hand for that. When you raise your hand and the chairperson recognizes you, you will be asked to unmute. And if you are using your telephone keypad, that is *6. You can see right now, Dave has his hand raised. Larry, should I unmute him?
Yes, please.
Okay. Dave and Bev, you want to unmute?
I unmuted. Let's see. Okay.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to say you might point out where the raise hand feature is found. On my computer, it's in the reactions. I don't know if that's always true or not.
Yes, if you put your mouse pointer down at the bottom of your screen, there'll be a horizontal like toolbar that appears. You click on reactions, there's a raise hand feature right there.
Okay, thanks very much. And again, if we're going along and somebody has some questions, if you've got your video on, we can see you. So you can raise your, wave your hand in front of the screen there and stuff. And if not, well, I don't know, we'll worry about that when we get to it.
The advantage to using the raise hand feature is this way we can call you in the order that you are requesting to speak, because in the participants panel, it will show your name with the raise hand in that order.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that, yeah, thank you, Robin. Chairperson's announcements, nothing much except for the Sunday headline in the newspaper. We're going into a drought, but I think a lot of people have seen that. Do we have any members' announcements or any other committee members' announcements? Okay, I'm not seeing any then. So the next one is public comment for items not on the agenda. Anyone from the public want to have a comment for items not on the agenda?
We have Patrick McGivney. Patrick, you may unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me start this right here. There we go. Thank you very much. I'd like to just bring to everybody's attention that the lot on the end of Santa Isabel as it runs into the bay on Pasadena is for sale. There is a beautiful stone pine heritage tree that is there. The current owner is looking into having it removed possibly. So I think the tree committee should probably be aware of that and it's one of the most beautiful stone pines we have on Pasadena, and I think something needs to be done. I don't know if there's any ordinances that prohibit that or what, but it's a big concern. So that's all I wanted to say at this point. The lot is being offered at $575,000. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Lindy, Lindy is
Yeah.
raising your hand?
Am I muted?
Nope, you may
No.
speak.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick, for that. That if they're just buying a lot with future plans to build possibly, and they want to remove the tree ahead of time. That was a question for Patrick. And then I also noticed, you know, I haven't put as much, I'm sorry about my dogs, haven't put as much attention into looking at the county permits that are the, I want to say mitigational, the
Ministerial.
ministerial, sorry, it's the worst word for me, but I still think that what I saw on the ministerial, which I hope we can bring up at Tree and Landscape, is up to 6 trees all had permits for removal with no description of why they were being removed. So again, if we can get a little more transparency with the county working on that down the road. I'm sorry, I haven't been as involved as I wanted to be, but I really think we need the county to put more information into those lists that they have, because, you know, one, for instance, is a shed, no dimensions, no idea. It could be a barn, it could be a, you know, a little tool shed, but those are details that are important if we're able to look and see what's going on with some of these undeveloped lots. And then today I spent over an hour wasting my time on permit view with the county to look up a place that's on Napomo that has a permit posted, has all the information, number. I looked up the parcel number and there's no information. So I kind of have a feeling it might be one of the ADUs that was that's been had a stop to it right now. But again, I permit view is, I don't know, I'm not totally retarded, but it's getting harder to find anything on that. So those are all my public comments.
Okay. So Patrick, do you have the answer to Lindy's question?
Yes, I do. The owner is selling the lot. And I called the realtor up this morning and asked her about the tree. Because the front of the tree, or the tree takes up pretty much the whole front of the lot. The Pasadena side of the lot is 40 feet. The Bay side of the lot is 80 feet. So it expands out as you go. But to get to that part of the lot, you have to get through the tree. And she was saying, well, you could possibly trim it, you know, but she said, gave me the example of the house that is on the other side of the public access to the south, where they have a beautiful stone pine there that they have, you know, trimmed back, and it really does look like a beautiful piece of architecture. Well, the lowest branch on that stone pine is probably the height of the highest part of the stone pine that's on this lot. So there's no way you're going to be able to trim it and get through it. So she was saying, well, the owners are looking into right now, and I assume with the county, about whether they can remove it. And that's to be able to sell it. And it's adjacent, I think you all know, adjacent to the public access right there.
Yeah.
Larry, Yael has her hand raised.
Oh, yeah, Yale.
I'm wondering, it's still in Baywood, right? So there is under moratorium, it can't be built so far, right?
Yeah, yes, of course.
But they can go ahead and cut a tree even when it cannot be built.
That's the concern. Yes, they could probably take the tree out to make it more accessible to future buyers.
Yeah, we saw it today. We were there today and we saw the sign and all that.
Yeah, it's the one that all the kids and everybody
Yes,
hangs
we heard
out.
kids playing there actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just a beautiful, beautiful tree.
Yeah, you know, the one that we went underneath one time. Okay.
Okay. Patrick, thanks for that information. Yael with Tree and Landscape, you know, maybe we can look into it and get some answers for people here?
Well, all we
We
can
have
do is
to
write
make
a letter.
decisions. We cannot have questions. We have the questions. We have to make some statements, I think. That's what I would suggest. And fight for them if we can. Because questions are not, you know, the answers. The county doesn't care. So I'm sorry. I think that the county will allow permits if they can.
Okay, I'll look into it too and see what I can
Yeah.
dig up. Okay, so that's it for comments or questions not on the agenda. Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Nope. Someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
Okay.
I move to
Make a
approve the
motion.
minutes from last month's meeting.
There's seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand. There we go. I'll take that as unanimous. Okay, so on the agenda tonight, we have a few items. The item number one, the Coastal Commission staff report. And the water sustainability. We had slow, I forgot what it was. It was Patrick's group from, last month we had the presentation. The Coastal Commission has made some statements concerning water supply here in Los Osos. And I was just putting it out to discussion here. Are other members interested in, or do we need to make a statement to Locac and even to the county, of our concerns about our water supply? Paul?
Like to speak?
Okay, I saw Paul and then Lynette, you're next.
Thanks. The
And then
issue
Sue.
of what would we be saying? And I think that would have to, I think something is in order from Locac, from the land use committee through Locac.
Not your man. Sorry.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think we just have to decide what that content should be. Personally, I think it needs to be strongly worded as possible. We should, personally, I think we need to maintain a moratorium until some kind of real progress is made on, one, improving the situation as it currently stands, and two, on showing that what we're developing something that actually is sustainable, that there will be a surplus, not just if we raise our hands over this crystal ball and keep our fingers crossed, it looks really good. I think that the sustainability group, their report was very thorough and made it really clear that we're not in a situation where we can be piecemealing, well, okay, yeah, you can build something. It really has to be probably a complete moratorium. And I think that includes what's going to be on the agenda tonight is properties that are currently out, not in the prohibition zone, which is prohibition, my understanding, based on sewer, not on water supply. So they should not be getting any kind of loophole based on that. So I just think we need to be very clear and be very firm to preserve the future of Los Osos. I would love it if people could come here and share it with us, but as it currently stands, we really don't have, as far as I understand, and from what the water purveyors have all said, there is not any silver bullet in the near future. In addition to that, something, I mean, I don't know if you want to say it, but we also, Yael told me this evening, I think she's really right. We need to perhaps communicate to the county that, hey, you guys need to do something. You know, you can't just leave us here to dry out. You know, you're the county, we pay taxes. Do they have any responsibilities to us?
Well,
Lynette was next.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Thanks.
okay.
Okay, yeah,
Well, our basin is adjudicated and the fate of it lies in the hands of the Basin Management Committee and what they do. At the moment, our community plan, which hinges on any kind of growth going on, is at the Coastal Commission. And as stated at the Basin Management Committee on the 25th of March, 2021, they don't have a schedule yet for a hearing on that plan. So it would seem to me if we're going to send a letter, we might find out when they are going to actually have their hearing, because that's where it would make the most sense to say something. I mean, right now they don't have a date, so we're just sending this letter out into the ether. It would make more sense to send it later when we know when they're having hearing on this. Also, the whole ADU thing, that's in Title 22 and Title 23. And actually, in giving will serve letters, that's up to the water companies to issue a will serve letter. I don't know what kind of influence we could have over them. The CSD Water Company does not issue any will serve letters. So vacant lot could not get water from them. Golden State does, at least they did. I'm assuming they still do. And so I don't know how we influence a company like Golden State to not issue will serve letters when it's probably something written in their rules that they have to. So those are just my comments to throw out there.
okay.
yeah.
Sue, I think you were next.
Thanks, Larry. I agree with Paul that we should make a statement and do something to the county. And I feel like we've been, at least I have been voting for projects because I know the county is going to allow them, or they're within the regulations or whatever. And we talk about water every time as being a huge problem. We know we're in trouble. The drought, as you read the newspapers this weekend, is not abating at all. So we have to protect our water, and they just nitpick one thing at a time, and it just keeps coming. And I heard something at a meeting a few months ago where somebody said, okay, it may be okay regulated to add this house, but that doesn't mean we have to agree with it. Our whole purpose is to make a difference with the county, to let them know how we feel. We're not legal on any stretch of the imagination. All we do is we can express to them the sentiments of the people that live here. And I think we're really getting to a place that we're all getting pretty worried about the water, and we understand, we're having a better understanding that it's going to take a lot of money and mitigations to make it better. And until someone's willing to step up and do that, or we have some sort of confirmation that we have sustainable water, I think I really feel strongly that we should tell the county, we should not recommend for approval these projects that come through. And we should make a statement, because the county is never going to come up with our point of view, and nobody else will unless we tell them. So I think this would be a good way. We have their ear. Whether they listen or not is an entirely different situation, but I think we have a responsibility to deny this stuff just on the grounds that we want some sort of help with the water before we start handing it out to people when we don't even have enough sustainable water to support ourselves for a period of time. So I'm all for a letter, And I'm willing to make it as strong as anybody feels that we want to make. And Lynette, I believe that Patrick could answer a question. There is a date of, I probably get this wrong, so maybe he should clarify for me. But I believe the Basin Management Committee is meeting with the Los Osos Sustainability Group in the middle of April, April 12th. And with the understanding that this is going to be on the BMC agenda in May. So it would really help them to have a letter. It would help the Coastal Commission to have a letter, because they are this coming week, I know, discussing some ADUs. And that is another nipping away at the use of water. So I think that if we could do one soon, it would be extremely valuable at this time. So that's my feeling. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lindy, I see you've got your hand up.
Can't hear you, Lindy.
Lindy, you're muted.
Wait, let me find her. I don't see her.
Right below you.
Lindy.
Cindy, can you hear us? Unmute yourself. We
No,
can't
she
hear
can't, Lynette. I need to find her to ask her to unmute herself, but she doesn't officially have her hand up, so I don't see her.
Oh.
Got it. Lindy, I'm asking you to unmute, please.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I totally agree. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree with the idea of putting forth a letter, and possibly on every permit that comes through, even having a little attachment that says we cannot currently support this project because of the insecurity of the water supply, water resources. And then I'm still always bothered by the fact that outside the prohibition, as long as they can meet their toilet, their retrofit, these houses continue going forward. I wish that we could have a moratorium on the entire basin, which would then hold everything off and not allow these outside projects going forward. They're kind of like an unfairness if there's only so much water left and they get it all before we deem the basin unsustainable. So I don't know where we'd go with the letter that direction. That's just expanding it more. But I agree that putting a strong letter going that from what we see from basin management, the purveyors and the sustainability group, we are not in a good position to be issuing ADUs or anything larger. And put the letter out and then just have, for each project that comes through, just have a disclaimer saying we cannot support this based on the resource management. The drought is pretty serious at this point. There's no idea if we're going to ever get enough water flowing into our basin. And currently we've got no real plan that's coming up very soon to actually get more water from one side than the other. So the reports are not good. So I support a letter, and I think with every permit also add on that that's the reason that we can't support it. That's my thoughts.
Paul and Yael, did I not lower your hand, or did you raise it?
That's Yael's hand.
No, this is not mine. Sorry, if I can I, okay. I support a letter too, and I support a letter that will extend the moratorium to the to area outside of the prohibition zone, because I agree that it's not fair, and those are actually larger homes. I don't know if more people live there, so it doesn't matter that it's larger. Depends how many people live there for water usage, but still, I don't think it's fair, and it does not serve us well because still water is being consumed. And the reason why we should do it is that if the county does not take us in consideration, which they normally don't if it's not illegal, then we have a reason to go to the Coastal Commission and actually give them that update about the county not taking it in consideration, and maybe they should put their foot down and force the county to do that. And in the same time, I do think that in this letter or in maybe future letter, we should do bring up the idea that if it will never, the aquifer will never get healthy here, that we should bring water from outside and that they should start thinking about it sooner than later. Otherwise, we might just dry up. So, but I'm not sure it's that the first letter is the correct one to talk about it, but I don't think that we should wait too long for that either.
No.
My hand's been
Okay.
up for a while, or now it's down. Can I have?
So, Larry, I have my hand raised.
Oh, yeah. Julie, is that you? I don't see a hand up on Julie, but
He
I,
has a hand clap symbol.
Well, it is the clap. It was a hand and it.
That's why
something
it comes
slowed
down,
it.
because it's a clap. You don't clap forever.
So me before
So-
Robin, what do you want to do?
Me, well, thank you, Julie. I was going to bring up the point that we are an advisory group, and I think it's appropriate for us to advise and say how the group feels, the land use committee, and pass that on to the county, to the coastal commission, to whoever the bodies that it's appropriate to let them know that we are concerned about our water.
okay.
Tammy? How about me?
Yeah, Patrick, I'm gonna have you wait for public stuff. Julie, go ahead.
Okay, my first overarching question is, the county cannot implement a water moratorium. It has to be the purveyors. So they're not doing it. They're not stepping forward and implementing by state law such a moratorium. Yael, you mentioned looking at outside sources for water. In the basin plan, there are ways to use the water we have, the high nitrate water, even the salty water. There are plans to desalt it should we need that. I'd actually like to stay on our basin before we bring over a pipe, say of state water from Morro Bay. I think that actually is quite growth inducing, and Coastal Commission wouldn't like that. And then there's a lot of talk here about big houses and ADUs nipping away at the water, I think was what Sue called it, nipping away. The thing about all of the new development that we're talking about every month, they have to retrofit. Now, if you don't like the retrofit program, then maybe that's what we need to be talking to the county about, how to further mitigate water use. The new homes are using less water than most of our homes. That's just the fact with state-of-the-art fixtures and technology, etc. There's this big effort to house the homeless, and we need more housing, and we're all saying we need more housing, and we support ADUs, but not if they use water. Doesn't make sense to me, because they're using less water than generally the rest of us, because they have offset their use using the 2-to-1 program. If you think, this is where I'm going with that, is I don't think we can start a moratorium by sending a letter, but we can affect change on the Title 19 retrofit program. We can ask that the 1.6 toilets get retrofitted throughout the town. There's thousands of those because the sewer project exempted 1.6 gallon toilets. So there's toilets out there that are 0.8 gallons per flush. So look how much water that could save. I just don't know exactly why we're doing this letter. I missed the backstory. I mean, if sustainability group, great presentation, doing their own thing, sending their own letters, communicating with coastal, whatever they're doing, that's fine. But the land use committee, each one of us as individuals can write letters to the effect of what I've been hearing from you. But I think as a committee, we need to show some solutions and make some recommendations on, and you know, the tool is Title 19. But make some recommendations to actually save more water, because we're not going to stop the development. I don't believe we're going to be able to stop it. This way we can just save more water. I have an email today from Kevin Kahn at Coastal. He was asked about the community plan. He said, yes, the LOCP was received in our office last month and is currently unfiled, as we have some questions for the county for which they are preparing a response. We intend to bring it to hearing at some point this year. So just to some of your other comments about the timing, this is still a long way to go. But I think we can be stronger if we recommend some changes in the water conservation programs that we have. That's my point. Thank you.
Okay. Robin, I see there's Trish and Susan has their hand up.
And then Lindy is waving her hand.
And Lindy's got her hand up too.
And,
Okay.
and I thought, Lynette, did you have yours up? I guess not.
Yes.
Oh, she
Yeah,
does.
it just came
And
up.
Lynette has hers up.
Yeah. So Trish, do you want to?
Yeah, so for me, I think a letter is very important. And I think within that letter, it would be great if we could highlight items that we think could be accomplished during it. And maybe a special subcommittee of this group could do that. Or at our next meeting, we have a specific topic on different things that could happen in order to help preserve water in Los Osos that we could forward on. I'm not sure if we can really wait that long, but if you look at a lot of the Coastal Commission's concerns, their concerns are with Special Section 6, which prohibits wastewater service to any new growth. It also wants existing water treatment systems for new homes, and their concern is the lack of water. So if we just look at what the Coastal Commission's concerns are at the current date, put those in a letter saying that we agree with them, and then move that forward. Because if we don't start acknowledging that we have a concern in Los Osos with water from this committee, bring it on to Locac, and then send it on to the county, we've got to start somewhere. And we've got to start with, this is our concern. These are the steps that we're going to take, and we will get back with you at a further date on some items that we would like to discuss with the county, and then bring the county people to us to discuss those. That's what I see.
Okay, thank you, Trish. That sounds like a good plan for moving forward. Robin, who's next on?
I think it's Lynette
Oh,
or Susan. It was Sue Morgan Thayer, I think, had her hand
I
up.
think it's Sue.
Okay, I'll be quick, Lynette, because Trish said everything I wanted to say far more eloquently than I did. But she did say, we have to start somewhere. And those were going to be my words. You know, down the road, we can address all sorts of things, but the time is now, and we have to support the Coastal Commission, and we have to support our residents and our concerns. And I think working with a retrofit is sort of most merely a Band-Aid, because so much water is being used untapped well or unmetered wells. Just you have no idea how much water people are using. And yeah, we save a little bit here and there, but we have to start somewhere. We are an advisory group. It's appropriate for us to start calling the county out on the fact that we have water problems and that we need to address them. And so I'll stop talking now, but Trish, what you said was great. I'm all for that. Thank you.
Larry?
Yeah. Hi, Lynette. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay, well, I agree with Trish and I totally agree with Julie. I think a lot of people here don't have the background that some of us do, especially Julie and Lindy. They've been in the community for a long time. They have followed all of this. Some of the suggestions we're coming up with don't make any sense in terms of the wider framework of what has already been discussed and what has been talked about in terms of not knowing what farmers use, for instance, and people on wells, we don't really know what they use. Well, it's a much bigger problem than just us wanting something to happen. Well measuring on properties that aren't drilling a new well, that's grandfathered in basically to the whole county code. And I think there's a huge reluctance to step into that mess because of what would happen with North County and all of the people in houses on wells and farmland. There isn't any point in going to things that there's nothing we can do about. I think Julie narrowed down exactly what we can talk about. She's talking about Title 19 and urging the county to do something about that. There's two separate things. Urging the county to do something and contacting the Coastal Commission. As Julie said, the Coastal Commission, we're not even on their agenda yet. We're far away from that. I think a letter would be more effective when we have more information closer to the time of the agenda. I don't think there's any real huge point in contacting them now. I think if we really want to be serious about this, we need to be attending Basin Management Committee meetings. They're usually only every other month. And I think attending those meetings to get an education on what has gone down, what has passed, what they're planning to do. The water purveyors are against growth. They're against, they all wrote letters to the Coastal Commission. So they're on top of this, and they are the people with all of the scientific information about this. So I really feel like we need to educate ourselves more before we write something and just make ourselves look stupid because we're uneducated on something. So I would like at some point, Julie, to give us some specifics. I think writing a letter of specifics to the county on how they can improve Title 19. She's absolutely right. The county allowed 1.6 gallon toilets. There's tons of them, and we could save a lot if that had to be something people could retrofit in order to build. So why don't we do something practical? And that's my opinion. Anyway, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I see Robin and Paul have their hand up.
Yeah,
So Robin,
Paul is next.
Thanks. Robert.
next, okay.
Personally, I don't think I would look stupid if I was telling the county that as a community member who cares about my community, that I'm expecting them to do something. And I don't think that, I agree, none of us are experts. I don't know the whole backstory. And that's why I'm not in county government. County government knows the whole story. And we should be able to say to them, hey guys, we want you to do the right thing. And if we think the right thing is maybe you need to make some changes to Title 19, and here's some suggestions, that might be one thing to do. But I personally don't think we should have to wait 6 months or something until we all become experts on the backstory before we can say anything. The issue of improving the retrofits, I think the problem with the scenario that's being put forth is that, well, it'll be fine. You let somebody build and they'll do offsets with retrofits, and then we're still at the exact same place of being in a crappy situation. We can't, well, it's okay because they're not going to add any more. No, we should be cutting water use now before anybody else builds. So all of the houses that have, I have a 1 gallon flush, all the houses that are on toilets that are flushing too much should get new toilets, and it should not be contingent on whether or not somebody's going to build a house. It should just happen. Now, what the process is for that, I couldn't say. But instead of, if you'll pardon the probably not very appropriate reference, we should not just be treading water. We need to be cutting water usage now and for the foreseeable future, not just continuing to hopefully maintain this tricky balance. And I understand that the issue of unmetered wells is a huge issue. And so, yeah, we can propose that the county do something about it. That's just about it. But the things that I think we can do something about would be to find a way to actually concretely, where the houses that are here, the people that are here, the businesses that are here, to do things that will actually reduce water usage now, regardless of whether or not somebody is building and being forced to replace some toilets in their neighborhood. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Robin, your hand is next.
Yeah, I think this is an appropriate time for us to reach out to the county and to the Coastal Commission. The county was permitting 8 ADUs that have been appealed to the Coastal Commission. Coastal Commission has one of those on their agenda next week. Waiting several months to write when they're hearing the community plan is too late. We have things on agendas, and it's appropriate to advise on them.
Okay. Lindy, I see your hands up. You have to unmute yourself, Lindy. Lindy, if you're going to talk.
There I am.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry. Yeah, a couple points I wanted to bring up. The letter is important. It's timely. Only because things are not getting better. If the Basin Management Committee was seeing the world in a different way, maybe, we'd want to hold off, but no, they're looking at a crisis basically. And so I support the letter. I do believe that the county is one of the players in the basin management adjudication, and they can certainly call for a moratorium, and I believe some of the purveyors would support that maybe, at least until the community plan or until some given date that we see some sense of progress. And then as far as ADUs, I have to kind of agree with Paul. That only gets us back to the status quo. That says that, this house retrofitted, therefore there's enough credits for somebody else to go in, but there's no guarantee how much water use each of those new homes brings in, or how much water use might come back to. If you have a 0.8 gallon toilet and 40 people use it every day, it's still, you're using a lot more water. So since we have no method of knowing if the water use goes up on a house that's retrofitted or a new house that guaranteed that they would only use 30 gallons per person, we don't have any way to document any of that. So it kind of is going into the hopeful zone that everybody would be good and preserve water. So and there is still $2 million that the county has to pay for those upgrades inside the moratorium. So people outside the moratorium are getting paid to retrofit so that we can build more houses. I don't know. The whole thing just seems like we need to slow down a little bit and take a breath and kind of watch the next couple years. And I am sorry for people that have been buying lots. We'll bring it back up again, but a person that bought the little community garden on 11th Street asked the county how long before he could build on that empty lot. The county said in about 7 years. If the county is telling people buying lots that they're going to be there, they didn't tell them that there's 350 people or houses ahead of them on lists. They're not being clear and honest with property purchasers. And that's just about as bad as it was when we told people that as soon as we had a sewer, they could build. So I think the county needs to tighten their belt and kind of, the letter would be important to get lodged now. Because, and then the county can also put meters on private wells. It's going to be a direction all of California is going at some point. So I think the basin management team is looking at pushing for that too. So thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from board members? I see we have two people in the public that would like to make a comment. Patrick?
Oh, Patrick. Patrick, you may unmute yourself, please.
There you go. Patrick?
There we go. You got me
There we
now?
go.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to just thank everybody for your comments. I'd like to bring to your attention, if you can get the basin plan and read it on page 138, it talks about metering, and there is an ordinance that, not an ordinance, there is an option for the county to create an ordinance to meter all unmetered wells at this point. So that is in the basin plan. Also, if you look on page 33 of the basin management plan, you'll hear where it talks about the amount of water being used by unmetered wells, and that's almost 50% of all of our water. I'd like to also thank Susan for her comments and Paul's, actually everybody's, Trish's and everything. I would like to read real quickly something that was on one of the appeals. And you remember the appeals, the two of them that we're talking about, the one that we did with Eric Howell and her name was Escalante, also did that appeal. And the other appeal that's going to be heard on the 15th is one done by Hart and Escalante. And in there, it says the appeals state that the county impermissibly used an uncertified local ordinance as the legal standard for review for the CDP application rather than the standards of the certified LCP. So I think that's something that we need to really be thinking, that that's what the county has been doing. I'd like to read real quickly a letter that I have written to the Coastal Commission regarding this appeal that's coming up on the 15th. And it says, as a longtime resident of Los Osos, I want to thank you for your concern for our community's sole water source and water supply, upon which the community and the surrounding ecosystems depend. This appealed ADU located at 928 El Moro Avenue was approved by the San Luis Obispo County in full knowledge that it violates various sections of the LCP and CEQA. It also ignores condition 6 of the CDP issued by your agency in approving the Los Osos wastewater project. Condition 6 requires conclusive evidence that the Los Osos groundwater basin is sustainable before further development is allowed within the prohibition zone. And as a side note, if the basin is not sustainable for water dependent projects within the prohibition zone, it is not sustainable for any water dependent development that sits outside the prohibition zone and over the Los Osos water basin. Regardless of will serve letters sent to proposed projects, it has to be kept in mind that water purveyors really have no other option than to send will serve letters to the approved project. As Second District Supervisor Gibson said, while the county has the land use authority to adopt a community plan, it's ultimately the water purveyor's job to take the steps necessary to recover the water basin and serve current and future Los Osos residents. That's their responsibility. And that was a quote from a New Times article back in December. The county's approval of this ADU, as well as its approvals of any water dependent construction that sits over the Los Osos water basin, ignores the mandate the Coastal Commission set forth in a letter sent to the planning directors of coastal cities and counties on April 21st, 2020, regarding the implementation of new ADU laws. That letter asserts new residential development must be located within, contiguous with, or in close proximity to existing developed areas able to accommodate it, or in other areas where development will not have a significant adverse effect on coastal resources, which would be our water basin. It is clear that any new development requiring water use that draws from the Los Osos water basin will have significant adverse effects on that basin until it can be shown with conclusive evidence that the basin has stabilized and is sustainable. Please deny this project and support the appeal of your staff's recommendations. And that was sent out today. I think a letter to both the Coastal Commission, the county, as well as the BMC. And to answer Sue's question, we are meeting with staff, not with the BMC themselves, but with their staff on the 12th to discuss the 22-page letter and 18 requests that we made in that letter to the BMC. So if you were to send a letter to the BMC in support of what we just presented last week, I think would be great. As far as the county not being able to make a moratorium, the Regional Water Quality Control Board is the one that made our moratorium. They can do it again if we get enough support in that direction. So that's all I have to say. I thank everybody. Oh, one last thing. I am sorry to say offsets do not work, and I could do a whole presentation to show you why. I sent a letter out to Kylie Hensley, and I gave her some of the metrics that they were using. She said the county is now revamping their metrics. She will send me a copy of those when the county is done. That was supposed to be done over a month ago. I haven't received anything yet. So that's all I have to say at this point. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Cecile, you're next. I see your hand up.
You got me?
Gotcha.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to say that I support the land use committee to send out a letter regarding water concerns to the Coastal Commission. I think it's really important, and it's better to start on this now than to wait. I definitely understand the importance of this. And I'd also like to say that I agree with Paul that even if you're retrofitting, you're still using more water if you're going to start building. And I just think it's really important that we protect the residents that are here right now in Los Osos more than maybe future people that may or may not come here. That's all. Thanks.
Okay. So where do we want to go from here? Let me put it out there to board members. Do we want to?
This was just a discussion, correct? We don't need a motion. This was just a discussion for the group to see how we all felt, and then we can go to the next agenda item.
Oh,
Okay. Well, but Sue, hang on one second.
okay.
I would like some ideas. Trish, you had made a thing about breaking off into a splinter thing to come up with a draft.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen. I would love to see that people volunteer tonight to join me, and we can write a letter to the Coastal Commission that we can then, of course, share with everyone on the committee. And then I do think for a second step is that we do need to have further discussion at every land use meeting on the issues of water and what we can do to preserve the water that we have and what are some of our next steps. But in order to do that, I think we also need to have some public water agencies come talk to us, the county come talk to us, so that we get a clear idea of which direction they're going.
Okay. Then Sue, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I would like for us to make a motion that we are concerned about the water and that we want to support, oh God, I'm just going blank now. I'd like us to go forward. I would like us to that we write a letter just to start with, to tell them, the Coastal Commission, that we are in support of what the Los Osos Sustainability Group has been talking about, and that we hope that they will uphold their feelings about our water supply when they make their decisions. I see the next agenda item as us just putting together that letter, but back to this first item, I would like us to decide that I would like us to perhaps vote to decide that when we see a project going forward, that we respectfully withhold recommendation on it, because until we get some sort of confirmation that our water supply is in better health. I would like us to do something to make actions. One action would be to tell the county that when we're recommending things for these projects that are going through. And second of all, I would like to that we do write a letter, and we write just a simple one right now to support the conservation, to express our concerns, and get that to the Coastal Commission and to the BMC for this next week. And then at that point, I would like to follow what Trista suggested, and we can go through and we can have conversations with the community and have put a committee together to work on this. I think that's a really great idea, but I think that I would like to see those two actions happen tonight.
This was only put on for conversation, not to make a motion. Otherwise, we would have had to include that in our agenda items. So I think the steps going forward, and somebody can correct me, the procedure-wise, would be to have a splinter group come up with a draft letter that we share with everyone in Locac, and that at the next available opportunity, to have then a motion with the letter, and agendize it, that, to vote on sending the letter.
Well, the second agenda item is that request to review for approval of a letter written in response to the sustainability group's request that Locac support be sent to the county planning and building department. That is an actionable item. We can write a letter, and that's why, you've got this letter that we sent to everybody to look over to see if that was appropriate and people were willing to send something like that. So
Yeah.
Yes, so we don't have to make that decision about how we're going to review projects, but we do have on the agenda that we can write a letter, and we can do it now. We can just decide to do it now. And then we can write another letter when it's been reviewed. I mean, that's my take on that. And that was certainly the intent. And if I wrote it incorrectly, then it's my fault.
Yeah, okay.
I
But
believe
did-
it's
Very clear.
I believe it says there that we can write a letter. That is an actionable item.
Okay. But, okay. So, but I still think we're talking about two letters.
Okay.
I'd like to form an exploratory group to come up, with a draft letter with the concerns, that we can put together. We can present it to Locac, and then if with Locac approval, then give it to the county, to the BMC, to the Coastal Commission, of the community's concern about our future water resources.
But what I wrote on the agenda was that's what I wanted. I was trying to make way for us to approve a letter tonight that we could send next week to the Coastal Commission and the county and the BMC to help with the things that they're dealing with next week. And as far as then writing another letter and what Trish was talking about and you guys are all talking about, I'm all for that too. So not sure.
Okay.
We can't do that.
Two separate items then. So on the first one about it coming together with the letter.
Lynette has her hand up.
Oh, Lynette, go ahead.
Point 2 on this agenda says review for approval a letter written in response to the LOSG's request for Locac to support to be sent to the county planning. Well, aren't we just writing the draft and then we present it at the next Locac meeting? We're not Locac. We're a committee of Locac.
Yes, but the way I wrote it and the way my intent, I don't do well. If somebody else wants to do this job, they're certainly welcome to do it. My intent was to have a letter, and I think that Larry had sent you guys one today that just stated our concerns about the water, and that is what I wanted us to review. And I didn't know all the places it needed to go, but it needs to go to the basin management, and I should have said, and other places as well. But my intent when I wrote that was that we review and approve a letter tonight that we will then show to Locac and have Locac send off as their as the official letter. But right this week, we can say Land Use Committee has approved this letter for this particular purpose.
Can I comment?
Lynette, just to clarify it, at Locac meeting, Patrick asked for a letter of recommendation. I had suggested that land use could better draft that letter because we're more aware of what's going on than other Locac members, and that we would draft the letter for Locac.
Yeah, that's what I'm understanding. I think Julie is next.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Julie, go ahead.
I just got this letter from Larry today. Did it just go on the website today?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think this has had the public scrutiny, the vetting. Maybe this should have gone up when the agenda did, because there is some, the bullet 2 on the agenda, what your intent might have been, Sue, I'm sorry, is not what it says. And then there wasn't the attachment when I read this agenda a couple days ago, and only if you're following along closely would you go back to the website to look at this. So I think there's just a timing issue with transparency.
Okay.
I apologize for the timing issue. We did the best we could. There was a lot to do. We're doing our best, and I apologize that it wasn't able to get out. It takes a lot of people to get this stuff together, and it's just not an easy job. So I apologize.
Okay.
I don't see that there's an issue with timing on this. I think, we all got to see it today. We're all here at the meeting. We have 100% participation in the meeting. We have 23 participants tonight. It's on the website. It's very short. If you want to take a look at it, it's like one paragraph. I don't think it's a big deal to read one paragraph and say, if you have a concern, or if we can go ahead and vote to approve it.
Well, I think it's a matter of public transparency. I'm the one who put the letter on the website today at 4, and the public has not, we're the committee, fine, we've all seen it, but the public, unless they went on the website today after 4 o'clock, they had no chance to look at this or give us any input.
Lynette, my thing, that's the whole, in bringing up this letter, I just wanted to come back to Locac because Locac was aware, land use was aware of everything that Locac was not. I did not plan on vetting the letter and making the input of the public on it, just that we were probably better at the terminology and the concerns of the public. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't going to make a big issue of it, just that we could write the letter better than Tree and Landscape could write the letter, or better than traffic could write the letter.
But
You know.
nowhere on the agenda, Larry, does it say that there's going to be a letter attached for someone to, if they read this agenda and didn't know there was going to be a letter coming, they might not be participating tonight because there's not a letter to review. Now, 4 o'clock, there's a letter and they didn't get a chance to read it and they're not here because there wasn't a letter attached at
Okay,
the time,
okay.
or even reference to a letter will be coming out.
They should have heard that, Julie, at the Locac meeting.
The public doesn't have to go to Locac to then participate at land use.
This is
not
where
fair.
this is where the letter is coming from. It's coming from Locac. It's not land use is only helping
Okay,
write
whatever.
the letter.
Whatever.
Okay. I see Paul's hand up, and then Sue again.
And Lindy
And
is
Lindy.
doing the
I
physical
see you,
waste.
Sue.
Approving of a letter means we may be talking about the letter during the meeting. So it's almost like writing it, since it's so short and it's one paragraph and there is a draft letter and the agenda says approving of a letter, and somebody's antenna would have had to stand up if they are concerned about it. So then there's not much different between discussing the approval of a letter and actually having a draft to discuss. I mean, it's such a short letter and short timeline, and we are splitting hair here. And I think that if anybody was concerned about the letter, they would have been here. So now we have a draft to approve, and I would say let's go ahead and approve it or not. Let's vote on it.
And it goes to Locac from here, right?
Well,
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
So,
Lindy, go ahead.
sorry.
Lindy, you muted yourself.
Lindy, you're muted.
I just
Unmute
want- I'm
yourself.
hearing her dog.
I unmuted. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. How about, since we have a rough draft of the letter and we've discussed adding a little bit more into it, if there's a subcommittee that looks at it, that we prepare it in the next 3 days or 1 week and put it on the website and then enter it with the Locac meeting at the end of the month as a draft to be approved at that meeting. That gives the public time to look at a finalized letter, because we talked about doing a little bit more with it. So does that work?
Yeah, that works for me.
Sue has her hand up.
And then Sue,
Thank you. It doesn't give us the opportunity to get the letter to the BMC or the Coastal Commission by next week if we do that. I'm just talking about a letter in support of the fact that we have a serious water shortage and it needs to be addressed when people talk about these things. I'm not asking about this, long drawn out thing. I'm just asking for a quick, easy support mechanism. And I'm all for this other letter and taking the time. I think that's a great idea, Lindy, of putting it on the website if you want to do that. But I think we need to have something. We have to stand up for this. We need to have something that we can send to the Basin Management Committee and the Coastal Commission next week. It's our responsibility. I feel really strongly. And I would just like to say, before I shut up now for the last time, I agree with Yael. It says that there is a letter to be written in response to the presentation. And I think if anybody wanted to know anything about it, they would be here tonight if they had seen it. So that was there in plenty of time. So thank you. I'm done.
anybody else? Lynette, I see your hand up again.
Well, I don't know how a committee can be sending a letter. We're Locac, we're a committee of Locac, so I don't see how we can approve something that hasn't gone through Locac. And I'm sorry about the timing and everything, but we can send individual letters. We could do that.
Okay. Maybe that's what we should do then. Anyone else coming up with suggestions or ideas? Robin?
Well, I'm not sure why Land Use Committee can't send a letter from land use. Why it was just said, we're not Locac.
Especially if we clarified it, it's a last minute thing. The
It's
same
from
letter
land
will
use.
be, the same letter from land use will also be presented to Locac, but because of the timing of things, land use is submitting it directly to you. It's just so that they know,
Is
you know,
it in
again,
our-
out in the open.
Raise your hand.
is it in our bylaws?
No. I don't remember it in the bylaws. So it may or may not be, but I don't remember. And we just went over the bylaws just recently. But what I'm thinking is that Locac already agreed to write it, to support the sustainability group. They just assigned us to write it. So it's a really splitting hair technical issue that we don't, because of the importance of the issue, I think that I will support it.
Right.
I think it's
They-
the right
they
thing to do.
voted to support it.
Yeah, they
All
already
right.
voted to
Hand up.
support it.
My hand's the only hand that's been up there for a while. So
Okay, go ahead, Trish.
I make a motion that we approve land use sending a letter to the Coastal Commission and the Water Basin Commission on the paragraph that we have all shared that was given to us today.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh, I got to turn my hang on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Julie, I can't see your hand.
It's not up.
Because I'm not raising my hand.
Okay, and Lynette, so I'll take that as neutral or opposed.
I'm opposed.
I'm opposed.
Okay.
I think it does violate your policies and procedures and
It
Okay.
just so happened that it's not there. Maybe it should be there, but
Okay.
it's not there. We just.
Okay, I think we've made a decision on that thing. Moving along, we have this project, Valen.
Just one
building
thing,
a house?
Larry, Julie does have her hand up now.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Julie, I'm sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna comment about your policies and procedures are pretty clear about being careful not to represent Locac. You have to, when you go to a public hearing, you have to say, I'm a member of a committee, but I'm not representing Locac, and your land use committee can't represent Locac. That's my interpretation of it, and I'm just on the record for that.
Okay. Thank you. So moving along on the agenda, we have this next project. We have a representative for this project up there, Derek.
Yes, I am looking. Got it. Derek, can you unmute yourself?
All right. You ready?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, we can hear you.
Are you?
Go ahead.
I guess timing is everything. So I'd like to present this project on behalf of my wife and myself, Karen. I would like to say we're 37-year residents of Los Osos. So we have a vested interest in Los Osos. We're not going anywhere. This is where we plan to spend the rest of our lives. We do have a project, 207 Madera. It's for a single family residence. It's just under 2,900 square foot home. I don't know how much detail is typical here or how much you want. I know you guys have the copy of the permit and the plans. But we just some incidental information, we do have our Title 19 certificate on the property. So we've performed the 2-to-1 offsets. We've had a snail study, kangaroo, rat study. We have a no-take concurrence letter from Fish and Wildlife on that. We've performed the botanical study. There's no special status plant species observed on the lot. That was free and clear. Our soils engineering report is done. Our design does include an engineered septic system. And that, I guess, is essentially all the details, unless there's any questions.
Okay, so first, any members of the board have any questions for Derek? Lindy, I see your hand is up. Unmute yourself.
Wait, I have to find Lindy again.
Oh.
Okay. Lindy, could you unmute yourself?
There we go.
I have unmuted myself.
Yeah.
The dogs.
When I looked at the application, there were no blueprints of the house. I mean,
Yeah, there were.
Yeah, there
well,
should
what
be.
I got,
Sorry,
what I got did
that,
not have it. It had very large pictures of where it sat on the lot. I did not see a breakdown of how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms. I did not see a description of that. So if I got a different, I don't know. I looked at it.
So it's three. They should be on the plans, but it's 3
I
bedroom.
apologize.
bedrooms.
I'm speaking on a different project.
Oh, okay.
I just looked at my address here. I guess
It is
the one,
it is 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath.
okay, and it's also you're putting in a full septic, the updated septic project.
Correct.
So, okay. Out of curiosity, I don't know, we've been told that they run from 20 to 50,000. Is that someplace in the range that you are having to put out for that?
We haven't actually put that out to bid yet. I will say that's a little higher than what I've been told it costs. And to be honest, I'm not exactly sure of all the. I'm still in the stage where I'm kind of doing some research on that myself. But I know that based on the soils engineering test, the results came back. We did need to install an engineered septic system. I'm assuming that's going to have an aeration system, but I don't have cost figures for that at this point.
Okay, thanks. I was just curious because it's such a high price. It's kind of scary. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, you scared me.
Well, that's the rate we gave.
Yeah, that is the rate.
Okay, any other board member have questions, or any members of the public have any questions about this project? Okay, well, I'm going to be the bull in the china shop. My only concern about this project is water use. And I think you've heard the discussion a little bit earlier about this. In the past, I probably would have approved this project since it's not in the prohibition zone. And, you know, it's only one project here, one project there. But at this point, I have a tough time going ahead with that. So,
you know, I will say, I mean, I understand and I appreciate all the comments that I've heard on the meeting earlier, and I understand that's the role of this committee. But at the same time, you know, I've invested at this point in time tens of thousands of dollars to follow all the rules as they're currently written as well, and I do, you know, respectfully, again, appreciate your position, but I watched the Zoom meeting. I believe it was the last meeting where a home on San Sebastian, this committee voted to approve that. And a lot of these same concerns were raised, not for this long or this vehemently, obviously, but were raised, generally speaking, around that as well. But that project was, you know, it was motioned and seconded to approve by this committee. So I'm just, you know, again, understand you're doing your job. But again, I'm also a vested, member of the community, been here 37 years and plan to stay. So, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion or something, or?
And we have Yael and Paul have a raised hand.
Oh, I did not see that. Sorry, Paul.
No, no worries. Yeah, it's certainly puts the permit applicant in a very tough spot. And while something may have been approved recently, the headline in the paper was just yesterday, and it's it's certainly for me has highlighted or put a bigger underline what I already kind of knew about our situation here. Ultimately, as you know, all we do is make recommendations, and we make clear recommendations to county planning as to why this or why that. We're not the last stop in your travels, which doesn't mean it's going to be easy for you, but you have heard sort of what the sort of how the dialogue is shifting a little bit to be more, we're all becoming a little more alarmed. So I think we're probably I'm going to move that we, based on the recent news or whatever about the severity of the situation here, that even though this is outside of the prohibition zone, the land use committee recommends that this project not be approved.
Lindy, I see your hand waving.
I kind of have a different approach. I think that we need to approve. Mr. Valine has done all his, what was supposed to be done. It's all legal still. We're in the process of now beginning to have a stronger input about new growth in the basin. And we're looking at we had the great discussion earlier about places outside also affecting our basin, and their water use, even if it's offset by Title 19, is still taking water that we want to try to save until we have enough, maybe in the future. So I would say that we really need to approve the project, but put the sub note in there that we do not approve the extra water usage that it will bring, even with its Title 19. So I think he's done his due diligence. It's not our job to say, we just had a water discussion and you're out. So I would say I vote to approve, and we need to work on this down the road. And so that's my thoughts.
So is that like an approved, but we do have concerns about the water use?
So could that be a motion?
So
We
is that,
have a motion on the floor already, so we either need to get rid of that motion and make a new motion. I didn't hear a second to Paul's motion, but we do have a motion on the floor already, so we can't really make a different, unless we want to amend his motion completely to say what Lindy said.
Well, we also have Sue's hand raised.
I'm retracting my hand.
Okay.
okay. Paul, do you want to amend yours? You want to pull it off for Lindy's, or what?
I don't really know how to amend it. I mean, to say we approve it, but we don't approve the water use is just saying two different things at the same time. So, you know,
And so then why don't you pull your thing and let's go with, why don't you pull your
I don't want to
motion?
pull it, but if nobody
Oh, okay.
seconds it, then it gets pulled anyway.
Okay,
I will second it, but
So we can
then we
vote it.
see,
We
no,
vote.
we have to discuss it. We don't
Right.
vote. At least it's
Okay,
up for
so-
discussion.
so are we putting it to vote then?
Well, if you
All-
have
all in
to give a
favor?
second, you have to discuss it first before you put it to vote. no?
Okay. Is there any discussion on Paul's motion?
I have a raised hand.
Robin, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, as we mentioned several times tonight, we're an advisory body. And, you know, we can be sympathetic to people with projects coming forward during a drought year. And plus, we've been having a closer look at the sustainability of our water basin. And if we feel strongly that it's in peril and we don't want any building, our advice should be strong and say no. And as was pointed out, we're not the last stop, and all this can be appealed and possibly will be appealed on both sides. So that was my comment.
Okay. Any other comments from board members? Now we're gonna have a vote on it?
Susan's got her hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Susan.
Got it right in the last minute. Thank you. I just wanted to say that whatever the motion is going forward, or we decide, I would like to include comments that were made tonight and concerns that we have, I think that we agree on. Well, okay, I'll take that back. Concerns that we have regarding water usage. I think that it should be included, whatever the motion is or whatever we decide. I think we should add what we've been talking about tonight.
But
And
so the motion right now is to deny. We don't, that's what we have to vote on before we move to another motion, if that does not pass.
then I would
She's
like,
just talking about language.
No, I understand, but
then I would like to add that if that's the motion going forward, I would like to add that if the motion passes, that we explain why we came to that decision.
To change the language in the motion so it includes that?
So that just includes that. So the county knows where we're coming from and why we made the motion, why we made the decision that we made.
Lindy's waving.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Lindy.
Lindy, unmute yourself.
I know, I get 5 signals to unmute. I unmute and then I'm muted.
if the dogs are not there, you don't have to mute yourself.
No, they're being quiet.
There, so don't mute
how about-
yourself anymore.
I was gonna suggest, how about we amend Paul's whatever,
Motion.
motion. And just then say based entirely on the extra water usage, because again, if we have nothing else that we don't like about the project, denying the entire project is sending a negative message in some ways, where I'd rather have the message be based entirely on the extra water use.
So
It's asking for an amendment, because I could support that. I can't deny it, because tonight we discovered water problems.
Go ahead, Paul.
propose some, so something like, in light of recent
Events.
underlining the severity of our water crisis in the entire county, while the applicant has certainly done their due diligence and otherwise, we would see no problem with the project, but due to the heightened concerns over sustainability in the basin, we find that at this time we are not able to recommend approval. What the planning department does is what the planning department does, but.
Okay, Trish, did you?
Okay, so
Derek, I'm really sorry, but I'm, just trying to, we're trying to be, yeah.
Work on the thing.
So do we have a second then for the modified motion that Paul just modified?
If nobody else, if nobody else would, I would second it, but.
Okay.
Could we read what the motion is?
It's too long.
So what I have down is, in light of recent events of severity of water, the applicant has met all permit needs. We find we are not able to recommend approval.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Something like that.
Okay, anybody wants
Okay.
to second?
Any more comments on the by board members? There's been a second. Okay, now we can vote on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all in favor?
Nobody's in.
Oh,
That's
Stu, we can't see your hand. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, all opposed. There's Lynette, Julie.
Yeah, I'm opposed. I'd like to comment on it.
Oh, I thought I asked for comment.
Well, I'd like to comment on why I'm opposed,
Yes, go ahead.
because
But then I haven't voted. I'm an
Oh.
abstain. I'm an abstain just due to the fact
Abstain.
that the guy has qualified for all permits and has done everything that the county has asked him to do.
Okay,
Understood.
and now Julie, go ahead.
so when someone retrofits 2-to-1, so 2-to-1, the glass of water sitting in front of me at my desk right now, I'm gonna drink it. But I have to save 2 glasses of water because I'm gonna drink that. So how does his house use additional water? I just, the logic, you are defying logic by saying that the retrofit program doesn't work.
Because
So,
Because someone's going to
Because he
live
has his own glass.
someone's going to live in the
Paul,
other house that they're
Paul,
not
the
gonna live in.
analogy.
Paul, no,
no,
Paul,
that's not how it works, folks. They
Ju-
have to
Julie
take the
is-
fixtures
Julie-
offline. So yes, someone lives in the house, but everybody's using less water. Everyone uses less water with the retrofit program. So that is why I'm voting no.
okay,
You're mumbling,
Thank you.
you're mumbling something. What do you want to say to me? Say it to my face.
Yale,
The analogy is
Yale,
not correct.
Yale,
I think the analogy is not correct.
Robin, please mute Yale.
I'm just saying the analogy is not.
Well, what is a correct analogy? 2-to-1. 2-to-1 apples, 2-to-1 oranges, 2-to-1 glasses of water. That's the analogy.
Okay, all right, done.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So that motion has passed then. And Derek, thank you very much. I wish you luck on your project.
Thank you.
Is this going on the agenda for Locac?
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
did
It
we?
was not put on the consent agenda. I didn't write
But
it.
we didn't specify anything. So
Okay,
I think our.
so now we have to make a motion. Do we make a motion to put it on the agenda then?
Yeah, I did not
Yes.
specify that it was
Okay,
on. the consent agenda.
I'll make a
can
motion.
someone,
I'll make a motion that we put this on the regular agenda for the Locac meeting on April, I can't read my calendar,
22nd, I think.
22nd. Thank you.
And I'll second
Okay.
that. I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, Derek, it's gonna go on the agenda for Locac on the 20, whatever the date they said. We can send you a notice about that. And that's another opportunity. They might look at it differently. Okay?
Great.
So going on to the last thing in the agenda here, there is Trish has put together a not PowerPoint, it's an Excel program.
It's called a spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet. There we go. Would you like to discuss it or give an introduction to it?
This is a project that Sue, Robin, and I put together because we kept asking each other questions on what are the water ratios for this? What is this? What is that? Because from one meeting to the next, I could not always remember, and I was always having to do research onto the different titles, the different permits, all of that. So what we kind of did in a nutshell is we put the different types of projects that we hear in land use, new builds, remodeled homes, manufactured homes, ADUs, guest houses, homestays, vacation rentals, all the way down to cannabis, and then projects that we do in the community. So what I did is I put down kind of a description of what it is, where you find it in Title 23, what kind of permit is required, what is the water ratios, all the way down. So this was sent out to everybody. Just to let you guys know, this is a draft. This is a working document that will probably be changed every month just because things change in the county all the time. But we wanted to at least start with something. And so what we wanted to do tonight was just to make you guys aware of this. That's why we sent it out to you. We would like to share it with Locac, get their input on it. And if everybody agrees that it has draft written all over it, I would also like to put it on the website so that people in the community that have questions on, I mean, we'll clean it up. I mean, to make sure that if it needs to be a capital something, we can fine tune it a little bit more. But I just want the community to understand what some of the permits are, what the water ratios are, how big an ADU can be, how big a guest house is, what a homestay truly is, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
Does that
a
make sense?
tool.
It's a
you know,
tool.
to help prepare for meetings. We also had a meeting with Carrie Brown to run through what our thoughts were and what we should include as well. Okay. Thank you for your attention. Lindy. There you go.
Unmute myself. I haven't seen it, to be honest with you. I may have missed it in the email, but it sounds like an excellent project and really helpful tool for all of us. And people can go to the website and cut through trying to deal with county information. So I think it sounds great. And then as a living document, there'll be lots of ideas from the community and from us to continue adding to it and make it even more information. So I commend you. Thank you.
I think one thing on the document, like you said, it's a living document, that we should have a person or a group of people that new information is sent to, not just anybody can add it to the document. You know, the document has to be locked, and that if, and again, I think I'm encouraging everyone to put more information into it, you know, but it just has to be controlled so that we know the information is valid.
Right.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that.
And then I see Julie's got her hand up, and then Lynette.
Is that okay, Lynette? You were first.
Oh, Julie, go ahead. That's fine.
Almost done. Just for formatting, I wondered if, similar to what Larry's saying, but could you put it in a format that it could be printed on one sheet? Sort of a.
It is on one sheet.
It is on one sheet.
Okay, I wasn't able to print it that way. Can you?
Yeah,
You bring it.
size.
Would you mind putting it in a PDF that's so that dense people can do that?
You just
I
bring
struggle.
you bring your document down to 70% and it fits on an 8x11 sheet.
Okay.
There should
Well-
on your print, when you go file to print, there should be on that window that appears, there should be a button to click on to fit the size.
All right.
And that
I'll
would
try that.
scale it to where it
If I
needs
still
to
have
be.
trouble, I'm gonna call you at 2 in the morning when I'm.
Not a problem.
No worries.
Okay. Lynette.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it is up on the website under the Land Use Committee as a draft. And I would love to put it on the homepage. I think it would be really helpful to people. I found it very helpful. I'm really happy somebody tackled this. It's making me very happy. So if there are amendments to it, I could put it on the homepage, but if it's still a draft and people are still going to comment, then should they be aimed at Trish? Is she going to be the face of the document and people can send things to her? Do you want that information?
I'm fine.
Okay. I can do that. I'll put it on the homepage and say that it's a draft, and if you have comments, contact you.
Should it go to Locac? Should it go to Locac first before we do that? Or I don't know.
It probably should, but I think the draft should go up right away so people have as much time as possible. I'll just say it's going to be an item on the Locac meeting at the end of the month, and you'll still be the contact person, but I think people should start looking at it as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Lynette, wouldn't this have been wonderful when you and I started? If we had it back then.
Yes.
Okay, well, Robin, Trish, and Sue, thank you for that hard work putting that document together.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
think that everyone's gonna.
I'd like to make a motion that they all get a gold star.
A sticker.
We have a second.
A sticker.
I second that.
Well, I think what we need more is if anyone knows where I find the description for a new build. I found the Title 23 thing, but the new build description was like 2.5 pages. So that's why it's blank.
Okay.
Linda, you've got to stop muting yourself.
She's got dogs. She doesn't want.
The
you to
dogs
do
are
it.
not there. No, the dogs are not there anymore.
The
Please.
dogs are sleeping.
So do not. You
And we'll talk quietly so we don't wake them up.
I have a question, and it's like on the descriptions of zoning when they say residential, commercial, or residential multifamily. It's kind of like a little description. I can't find it anywhere on the county website. And when I look at the difference between commercial retail and commercial service, I have no idea what the parameters for that kind of zoning is. So that would be real helpful to me and probably other people that are trying to, they can look at the map of zoning, but they don't know what the parameters
We,
are.
we tried to keep this document only what comes to land use and Locac. So
It might come.
it might come.
Yeah, it might come.
We haven't had that in the year and a half since I've been here. I do have hotels and motels. I have antennas because we did have a couple of antennas. And then the very last section that I added today that you guys probably don't have, Lynette, is I added notes, on what section 6 is and what some of the coastal commission things are. But
Can you send that to me?
I will.
No,
Well-
it has come actually, and regarding the community plan, when they changed zones and then they did not change zones and then they changed it back and forth. So it did come and we did complain
Okay.
to them and we did send them letters. So it did come.
So we will look at commercial.
Yeah, thank you. All of them, commercial service, commercial this one. I think it's important.
Yeah, because I don't know where to find them. They're not on the county thing, and maybe I should have read the whatever 500 pages a couple times to find it, but I didn't. And but it's curiosity.
Figure it out, but it's not like a definition,
Yeah, I think it would be really helpful. Just
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, well, that's it. I think we're ready to adjourn. I would like to thank everybody. Got up to 23 participants there for a while. Means people are coming in and listening to us and at least watching what's going on. And otherwise, we'll see everybody next month.
Mm-hmm. Lindy wants to say something. Just say it, Lindy. Are you still muted?
You're not muted, Lindy.
It says mute.
Well, that's
go
to
ahead.
mute yourself.
Now
Now
you
you
are.
just muted yourself.
That's what she's been doing. She's been,
You were okay. Now you're muted.
no, you're muted now.
Now you can talk. Speak.
Yeah.
It says unmute. Anyway, I just wanted to note that Mark Zimmer from Golden State Water Company sat in for a lot of the discussion earlier. So that was really good.
Right.
And I'm not sure who Deborah Sutton is, but I think she's somebody in the community that, was active during the years. So anyway, yes, it's getting more people. I like Zooms.
It does make it easier.
Yep. So everybody, and I was also going to say our next Locac meeting, full Locac, is on Earth Day. So maybe we should have a little discussion about taking care of the planet and our water.
Lindy, when it says mute, it means that if you click on it, you will mute yourself. It doesn't say that you are muted.
It's when you're
It says-
when you
it's
have the little
it's-
microphone.
It's
with
the function.
flash
It's
through it.
the
I
function.
think I got you.
So
right now
don't
you can
click
hear
it when it say mute.
Well,
Do not.
Lindy, we'll call you and we'll have a a tutorial.
training on how to mute. And
After a
unmute.
year of that.
Okay, I need it, I guess.
The Zoom flunky, okay?
No, I think I got it actually.
Good.
So I'm gonna.
She's had more practice than any of us.
Bye.
Good
Thank
night.
you all. Great
Thanks all.
meeting. Thank you. So here is my